And we are recording. Okay. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Carrie.
Welcome to the recorded. This is our first recorded interview, but this is going to be on Patriots Soapbox, where you have been a guest of mine before. So I'm excited to have you here. I'm excited to talk to you. I don't think I told you, but I played the video of you from, I believe, last Tuesday on a show last week. And the people in the chat room were hanging on the edge of their seats as you were explaining that there were police at your door and they were acting very strangely. So the people who are watching this now should be familiar with that. That was on Pam's show. I don't know if we want to start there or if you would like to start at the beginning of how did you find yourself in that situation. But why we have you here is you have such a wealth of information about what's going on in Britain right now. And I say Britain. Can we say Britain?
Yes. Great Britain.
In Britain, and make Britain great again. In Britain, you have such a wealth of information. You are a very active activist. So I know that you have a lot of stories. Where would you like to begin? It's your soapbox. I'd like to let you just start talking, and maybe I can come and fill in some space with, share the screen. I have your website up. I have your Twitter up. So
Thank you.
You start talking. Tell us what you want to tell us. It's, like I said, it's your soapbox. Let's pretend this is Speaker's Corner, right? And
Yes.
let me know if I can pull up some documents or something, because we really need to hear about what's going on with you. So thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me, Carrie. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I just obviously I became sort of over involved in what's going on in this country a year and a half ago is when I sort of became proactive, if you like. Before that, I was watching and witnessing and being very disturbed by all that was happening around me and around Europe. And prior to me actually going out to Speaker's Corner, which is obviously a very iconic place known by free speech activists and historians, I decided that I needed to brush up on my knowledge of the everything going on around. And I suppose at that time it was really the everything to do with Islam and the freedom of speech. And as far as I'm concerned, what has been going on for the last 20, maybe even 30 years has been an eradication of our freedoms, slowly but surely, through the powers of the European Union and the act of, I'd say, very unpatriotic politicians and prime ministers. And I would say that probably the last prime minister that we had that was truly patriotic was Margaret Thatcher. And I think she saw what was coming and she tried to stop it. And unfortunately, she was ousted from power. And from then on, every prime minister that we've had has been happily giving away our sovereignty and democracy, but without actually telling us that they were doing it. And really the last I'm not sure, there's not a lot of people won't know me. I was born in America. My father's retired naval captain, my mum's Scottish, and so I'm British and American, and I've had a dual upbringing because my father worked here and in America, so I had schooling here and schooling in America, and so my sense of service and patriotism has come naturally because I have uncles and other relatives who've all done service of one means or another, usually the Navy or Coast Guard. And so, yeah, I've always had a sort of sense of patriotism, and I know that so many people go look to this country and to America as bastions of freedom and liberty and democracy, and that's the main reason why people have come and gone to those countries. And so when I've been witnessing the demise of democracy before my very eyes, I finally felt that I needed to do something or say something because I could never well, I mean, once you're gone, you're gone. But it's sort of mentally speaking, and sort of with my conscience, I felt I have to say something. So yeah, so thanks to the power of Periscope and YouTube, I got my voice out there. Of course, it was just a very, very quiet one, but I just felt that if I was projecting out into the ether, somebody might hear me, people would hear me, and even if one person heard me and heard that and took up the cause or reacted to it in some way, then my goal is achieved. Now, I hadn't planned anything. I didn't make any plans on how I was going to go about things. I tend to be a sort of in the moment kind of person, because you never know what's going to happen in life. And so I suppose the real trigger for me was what happened in Cologne a few years ago. It's a sort of a dual thing that I've been doing. I've been inspired by President Trump, by Geert Wilders, by Marine Le Pen, Salvini, Orban, by all people who've stood up and sort of tried to defend democracy or speak out against what they see the wrong direction that their government's going in. And so I pretty much educated myself on a topic which I never really paid too much attention to. I just assumed it was an ideology that was similar to others, but obviously we had 9/11 just gone, and probably from that point on was when I discovered or decided to sort of find out what that ideology was about. So and obviously the other thing is, because of the nature of what we're going through with the European Union, Brexit, and the laws and the sort of changes that have been happening over time, I just decided again that especially suppose the referendum is what triggered me into switching my television off and learning about the politics and law.
And oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say,
No.
can I ask you? I met someone at CPAC, and this is how I had found out about this organization, CPAC, which is a big event here in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
for conservatives. I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and it was a gentleman from, where was he from? Hungary, I believe. Yeah, maybe I got to remember. But anyway, he was a representative of the Europe of Free Nations. I think. Okay. Is that the right name? Have you ever heard of that organization? It's where I first heard of Marine Le Pen, and I went and I looked it up, and I thought, oh, great, we have this MAGA movement going on here and in the United States, and it sounds like Europe has this Europe of Free Nations. And the representative there, who, again, I'm going to think of where he was from, but he and I were talking, and we both agreed that he loved his country so much. What was the problem with that, right? And I loved my country so much, and what was the problem with that? And I came up with this idea of he and I were fighting globalism with a globally. He was doing it over there, and I was doing it here. But I think that this group called the Europe of Free Nations had been putting out a lot of media. Geert from Holland,
Geert
right?
Wilders.
Yes, he's a part of it. So I thought, well, I wonder if they're raising up people. Are they raising up patriots for their own countries, for your own country? You are half American, so you have, you must feel kindly towards us. You like President Trump, but your country really is Britain, correct? Is that where your heart is?
Unusually for me, it's actually quite evenly in both countries. I actually have a passion for America because I went to high school there, I graduated, I learned to drive. I went to secondary school here, and my first big job was in London. So
but you really you love the country, is right, correct?
Yeah.
And so it's you're very patriotic to Britain, and that's why I really want to hear from people like you, because we get this kind of rap for, the nationalist movement, nationalism, so scary, it must be terrible, meaning that I want to fight with you. No, I actually don't. I want you to love your country like I love my country, and it is also your country as well. We have a sort of interesting dichotomy here, but I want patriots to love their countries wherever they are, and I can appreciate that they love their country the most, more than my country. It's not
Right.
a fighting between us sort of thing. So I wondered if you had heard of that, but there is definitely
I
a
have actually.
movement.
I
Okay.
remember because the thing is that we have the fake stream media here, which
Right.
is much more. Well, we're just really closed off from the reality in the real world because yeah, the European Union controls an awful lot of what is said and done, even though it's not blatant because people don't realize what they don't know. If they don't hear about something, yeah, they just don't know about it. But the fact that it's been going on, and you've triggered my memory because now that you've said that, I do recall people talk about it in the European Union, the Parliament, and
Hmm.
it might have been Salvini, might be in that group as well, the Italian.
I
There's
think he
just
is.
yeah.
But he's
So
definitely has that populism, right? The Italian
yeah,
populace.
but
So, I'm
no, the
sorry.
thing is that what's happening to us? It's only the West. It's only Europe and America that is not allowed to be patriotic and not allowed to be proud of their country because that's how the whole plan of the globalists, of the Bilderbergs, the agenda is to strip this sense of national identity and just make it a state, as in uh, it's very similar to what happened in Russia, in the Soviet Union, when they would just spread out and start taking territory and just removing the individual identities of the different countries. And it's exactly the same plan for Europe. Is the United States of Europe is what the master plan is. And so this propaganda, it's weird to be talking like this. I don't know, it must be weird for you too about talking about propaganda and censorship and uh, sort of making people feel guilty about loving where they're from. I mean, it's all part of the master plan of the globalists to make it the one world, no borders. Central control is going to be in a small pocket of people, and
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 that's how we're united between the different groups that are fighting globalism where they are in Italy, in Holland, right, in Britain, all of the different places. That's how we're united with this sort of MAGA movement slash Europe of free nations
I'd say it's
movement,
almost like the freedom movement is
the
back. The
freedom
sort of
movement. Hmm.
really we're fighting for our freedoms again because they've been, let's say, slowly but surely stripped away. And unfortunately for Britain, the majority of the people who are in charge, are the globalists, are for the master plan of just this country becoming one of the states of Europe and not having its own sovereignty. I mean, it's what's so disturbing for me is how easily it seems to have happened with a huge swathe of people
Hmm.
have genuinely been brainwashed and mind controlled and all that. The verbiage is used as far as how propaganda is used. What's really strange is that being in the West, we had access to that information of how propaganda is used and the dangers of it. And George Orwell talked about it, and if you go all the conspiracy theorists, we knew. And the bizarre thing is that we've actually permitted it to go on because of the slyness and just manipulation
Well,
of
that's
what is
interesting.
going on around us.
Yeah, that's interesting to me right there, the way that you say the slyness, because when we go back to the term conspiracy theorist, what I am immediately jump to is groups of people who can analyze and deduce very quickly and can project out to the future and can say, hey, I see what's going on, and this is what's going to happen in the future if we keep going on this path. Those
Mm-hmm.
people are analysts to me, the people who are the crazy kooks. Conspiracy theorists are the very good analysts. And
Yeah.
somehow we have this negative connotation on people like you and me, because I do it as well, where I can see a situation and project it out even up to 20 years and say, this
Mm.
is where I think this thing is going to go. And it's really bad.
Yeah.
But so
No,
many people buy into the slyness, the tactics, the Marxist, ability to sway people's opinion with propaganda. We know that from
yeah.
history. And
And
so,
it's a
mhm,
social thing. It's the social pressure. And
mhm,
again, I suppose for most people, it's been a drip, drip, drip. And if you do things slowly, it's not as noticeable. And that is exactly what happened with self censorship, or what you can say, what you can't say. What's not right. It's not nice to say that because and people were guilted into silence or into it's guilt think, and especially the British are probably the most prone to feeling guilty. I mean, as I say, I tell people I'll bump into a door and apologize to the door. I mean, that's how
right,
it's apology. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry. I don't want to upset you. Don't want to, you
right.
know, not make any waves.
Very proper, well mannered,
Yeah,
very
and
proper, well mannered
but I
people
think
you
that
are.
was done. I think that was done. Naturally speaking, I
Used
don't think it
against
was
you.
done for it.
Yeah.
Now
Used
it's been
against you, right?
absolute.
Hmm. So, Amy, I see you as a hero, as
Oh,
in the name of my show is a rebel legend, right? The rebel legends. And that's why I thought of you immediately, because you're out there and you're making a very bold stand in fighting for things that Britain is supposed to stand for, even though the well-mannered, we talked about that when you were on my show the last time. It was the day after you had popped the Trump balloon, and you said, having seen that, you were so offended. It was so rude. It was
yeah.
against your standards. It was offensive because it was not how British people are supposed to act, and it triggered you. And so we talked about that day.
Mm,
You were injured, you were assaulted, you were having to scream and yell to get your voice out because so many people were trying to quiet you. And that hurts my heart, because I see you as a hero, as a rebel legend, someone
yeah.
who's making a stand against all odds. Um, can you tell
Well,
me, has there been any update to that, to the consequences of that day, the balloon popping? And has that all sort of morphed together into what you're facing now with that day that we saw the police at your door? Can you tell me what were the series of events there that happened after the balloon popping? Because I think that was the most recent time you went viral, right? I'm going to bring that up.
that is possibly yes. That the balloon popping was sort of the big one. The one before that was actually the year before, which was when I challenged the prayer being permitted at Hyde Park at Speaker's Corner.
Oh,
That
okay.
was
Do you
that
want to
was
go
my sort
there?
of.
Do you want to start there with that?
Well, yeah, because actually,
Okay.
if you think about the arrest, if you're talking about when they were knocking on my door and they came and they
Hmm.
took me, that was actually a clip from then. That was actually here's the thing: it's the
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So it was a reminder because I just won my case of telling somebody to have a gay day. I was convicted. I've had
Okay, there's a lot of stories. Wow. Okay, let's see. We're gonna have to
yeah,
we'll parse this out. Where should we start, Amy? Look at you. You had
oh
the gay day. I'm trying to find it. I'm
yes,
on your website right now at basedamy.com. If people
oh
want to go
yes.
and check you out. And you have a lot of
I
videos here. I'm just trying to think of like, wow, we jumped in and got to know you after the balloon popping. But as you said, you have been out there doing these things quietly
mhm.
for a long time. And it goes back to
It goes back to well,
the
the
gay
time that
day.
it sort of made to say well when I was well I told somebody to have a gay day and then it was probably a couple of months after that is when I challenged the prayer at Speaker's Corner,
Okay.
uh, which it was to me because of incidents that the Islamic attacks that have been going on, um, and the fact that people were just not understanding because I did whole load of research myself, study on Islam actually it was after the Cologne mass assault in 2015-16, New Year's Eve. And it was from that point to last year when I just dived into the world that I really didn't want to, but I just needed to understand the enemy's mind, how they work, what makes them tick. Because obviously, I don't know if you know, but there was an incident in Cologne on New Year's Eve where there was a mass occurrence of sexual assaults on women.
Yes, I know about it. Mm-hmm.
So that was the final thing for me to say, okay, what is going on? So I did a massive load of research, and then obviously things were going on with free speech. Early last year, a few people were refused entry to England. And in particular, there was a young couple. They wanted to do the Martin Sellner, his name is.
Right. Okay. I know about this. Mm-hmm.
So he was going to do a free speech at Speaker's Corner. Mm-hmm. And he and his girlfriend, Brittany Petterban, I think they've married now, were refused entry to England. And obviously before that, we've had Robert Spencer refused entry. We've had Brigitte Gabriel refused to come here, and all these people being refused entry because mm-hmm. they are talking about a certain topic, mm-hmm. just really got me really distressed. But it was probably the trigger for me was last year with everything going on and with this sort of constant censorship and talking about hate speech and all this rubbish that just didn't make any sense to me. I thought, okay, and Tommy Robinson decided that he was going to do the speech mm-hmm, mm-hmm. at Speaker's Corner mm-hmm. As a sort of symbol. And so I decided to go there that was my sort of foray to Speaker's Corner. And as it happened on that day, I was actually found myself in enemy territory. I went by myself just to go to be part of the group because in this sort of this nature of what I do, it's not exactly popular. It's not a sort of social event that a lot of people would be willing to take part in because of the stigma attached to what you're doing. But I decided to go and show my support. And as it happened, there had been an incident with Tommy a few weeks before with a certain man by the name of Ali Dalwa, who is he propagates the ideology at Speaker's Corner, and he happened to threaten Tommy with, I think he doxed him and tried mm-hmm. to get his family in danger. And of course,
right,
that really, I just felt really furious. And so when I was at Speaker's Corner that day, which was the 18th of March last year, I happened to be on the wrong side of the line of pro-Tommy supporters, pro-patriotism, and the Islam, mm-hmm. the Muslims, and I was on their side. And so as it happened, I was live streaming and I found out that Ali was there. And so I decided to go confront him about what he did with Tommy. I was just furious with everything, just my rage on the whole shutting down of free speech, stopping us, thinking that they can stop people from talking. Everything came to a head for me. So I just went and found him, and as it happened, what I did was captured on their video, and I was dubbed the bacon lady because they were sort of trying to get a bit intimidating with me, and I told them that I had bacon. I had a sandwich, of ham sandwich, and I just, as a sort of diffuser, I said I've got bacon because of course it's haram for people to have bacon in their ideology, and I thought it's almost like a bit like garlic and the vampires. So I just raised my hand, I've got bacon, and it sort of broke the ice a little bit. And then it went on YouTube, and it's quite a bizarre, unexpected.
I found it. Yeah.
Did you find it?
I found it.
I had titled my parents Hammed and Dangerous. So
now, on one hand, you and I you're part Scottish.
Yes.
Correct? And I am part Scottish. and
Yeah.
Irish and Welsh and all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff too. But Scots have an interesting sense of humor. We just do. It's just a thing. So we're a little cheeky, a little sarcastic. I don't know what the British term for it is, but we're smart Alex, and
Yeah.
in general, most Scots are. It's a Scottish thing. So I'm kind of giggling, like, oh, that was brilliant. So anyway,
So
I
and
shouldn't
I
be
got a
egging you
thug
on, I
life.
suppose.
I got a thug life from that one because this
Right?
one the guy he's one of the sort of more threatening types. Told me to go away, and
uh,
he made the mistake of calling me an old lady or something, and I said, "Oh, it's off. Oh, I've got bacon." And the last he did not expect me to
right.
respond that way. I think he expected me to just wilt and shrink and go, "Oh," and I
Uh,
did it. So that was the sort of I got the thug life from that. So oh my god, somebody thug life me. I got the old cigar and
right.
somebody
I'm
that
putting it
moment.
up on the screen right now so people can find it. Here it
Oh, thank you.
is. Um, May
So
23rd, 2018, DCCI Ministries wrote, Amy, as known Bacon Lady from Speaker's Corner, is arrested. Please pray. And
oh
here is
yeah.
a link, and there's some other commentary
Yes.
right there. So that's where people can go to find the video that she's talking about right now, which sounds
Oh, is
kind
that
of
the one?
funny, but
Is that
it apparently got you into some trouble, which isn't
well?
funny.
There's a sort of it seemed to be like a blending of situations because
Hmm.
obviously I'd upset them. Well, and after the let's see, April, May. So yeah, so after that March thing, then it was Easter Sunday, which was a couple of weeks later when I went up, and I was just decided to challenge the prayer, the outside prayer at Speaker's Corner, because I know that that's not to do. They don't need to pray in the public. They can pray. They have plenty of mosques around, and that's just a show of force. It's a show of disrespect and complete trying to intimidate people. So, and of course, because Easter Sunday, it was
It's
significant.
also right. It's also another trigger. They do it on
Yeah,
purpose, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
they expect you to either have a reaction so they can punish you, or to be quiet and submit. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. They were having a
No, no,
prayer.
no.
Hmm.
But they've been doing that for years. They've been doing that for years. And I just happened to look up the laws, look up the park, look up the rules and everything, and saw that they weren't supposed to be doing it. And incredibly, nobody had challenged it. Well, I won't say nobody challenged it. People have been challenging it over the years. But though I, again, did this sort of live stream, just not knowing what was going to happen, just filmed, you don't know what's going to happen. And as it happened, I was not going to be put off or fobbed off by the police in their usual way. If somebody said, why are they doing that? Well, they've been given permission. Why have they been given permission? Well, it's been discussed. Well, why has it been discussed?
Right.
Most people at some stage will accept the explanation and walk off and leave it. What they weren't prepared for was that I just took it to the next level, took it to the next, challenge it and challenge it and challenge it to the point where somebody saw the footage. I think it was actually somebody who did Tommy's page, and he picked it up, and that went viral. The whole because so many people had been not happy with what they were seeing, and when I got to the point of actually getting the police to admit that they were letting them break the rules because of
Wow. Yeah.
that just triggered a lot of people into say, what the excuse me, we have to follow the rules. Everybody should be following the same rules. It should be one law, one set of rules, and
And isn't
everybody
that what a civil
follows it.
society is, where everyone follows the same rules?
Yeah. Well, that was a blatant light shone on this double standard, and so it sort of got a lot of people, rightfully annoyed and questioning the police and questioning everybody. And of course, my popularity with the police went downhill quite rapidly because again I'm not one to cower to look. Here's the thing, I want to get this quite straight. I respect rules,
Hmm.
regulations,
Hmm.
and authority if it's justifiable, if it's if it's for the greater good. Really, that's what I look at. I'm not one to want to break laws, higgledy-piggledy, and be disrespectful just for the sake of it. That's not me. I was always, my God, I was blooming goody two-shoes at school. But now it's funny, at the wrong side of 50, I've become a rebel, and it's quite fun.
You are a
I have to
rebel,
say.
but you are a rebel. But isn't it really about the equality, the application of consequences, the rule of law, meaning we are in a civil society going about our day. It makes everything smooth and comfortable for all, is when people follow the laws and there isn't a promotion of one religion or thought over the other. And yet, and the Brits were supposed to be, the masters at it, and now here you are seeing clearly that it's not. So
And
it's triggering.
yes, and what is just the real sad thing about it all, Gary, is that it's been going on for decades. This double standard. This, unfortunately, I do believe, with the research I've done and everything that's been done, and things start falling into place when you realize, why is that happening? Why is that happening? It's like, oh, okay, now I understand why that was allowed to carry on. Because there's always a sort of thing with, especially with America, well, and here, it used to be when you, or anywhere you go, if you go move to another country, you're supposed to sort of adapt to the customs and
Right.
just sort of blend in with what's going on, and just, that's the whole point, really,
Mhm.
is to go to experience another culture and everything else. But unfortunately for us, the one ideology that has been counter to our sense of democracy, freedom, justice, and all the rest of it, um, sadly got their foot in the door, and the people who let them get their feet in the door were ones who were just interested in money and power. And
Exactly.
so,
Mhm.
uh, over the there were sort of dirty deals done behind closed doors,
Mhm.
and because of how sort of Western people are on the whole, of being tolerant and accepting and everything else,
Well,
that
that's
that
another, yeah, and
that was abused.
that's another thing. Abuse. You and I were on the same wavelength here. The definition of abuse is debasing the pride of a person. Debasing the pride of a person is the definition of abuse. If your pride is in your country because you're tolerant, because you're civil, because you're well mannered and kind, and you can go out your door and you can go into public and everything is calm and peaceful, if you get your pride from that identity, that national identity, and then somebody comes in and disrupts the entire thing for cash and prizes, it's triggering. Because the reason why it's triggering is not because people are crazy or imbalanced. It's triggering because it's abusive. It's debasing their pride. And I've been saying for a while that all of these people who are making money, and I call them yummy yums, they're collecting up all of the yummy yums they can get for themselves, and they're abusing us, and people are acting as if they're abused. It's very obvious to me those are abused people. I get upset when people are being abused, especially if they're
Well,
poor or powerless or subjugated in any way. I'm
Well, the
sorry.
thing is the injustice is the fact that the people who are being abused are, it's obviously it's a mental abuse, and it's the frustration is that they're being accused of things that are the opposite to what they actually are. So, for instance, intolerant. I mean, racist. The notion that British people and Americans are either one, they're neither intolerant nor racist. Well, it's very hard to prove something that you're not if you're being accused of it, and there's no actual easy way to prove it. Even, yeah, I have ways that I explain how that is a complete fallacy, but it is a sad state when you find out that there's almost become a Stockholm syndrome now with people, where they're actually starting to hate themselves and believe the false accusations against them,
Exactly.
and
Exactly. Yes.
that's when you know you're in deep, you know what, when you start hearing people say, I've heard that, it's so shocking, is the, I don't know, is it German or Swedish people saying they can have our country because we you don't deserve it. And oh my God, when you get to that point, there's no hope. It's lost.
And
It's
that's
gone.
what's going on here in America too, where people are saying, oh, we don't deserve it. We have really been beaten down and abused all over the world, but especially in Europe and America, where we have been told that we're so racist and so terrible and we're so intolerant, when so many people are going out of their way trying to prove how much more tolerant they could possibly be. And I think you and I are similar this way, where if we see people who have been abused, it's almost like, Amy, I see you running out and taking the abuse. You are getting abused from what I'm seeing from your videos, especially that one where they're coming to your door and they're grabbing you after they've lied to you about why they're there.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So that was the big that was the 5-minute horrifying thing.
It was horrifying, and so you are actually the legitimate, authentic social justice warrior, but not in the negative way. But it's like I don't know about you, but I'm very firmly rooted in my Christianity, and I just feel a sense of duty to warn, to tell people if I know something and I can figure it out. I feel like I need to tell them. So if I'm telling them and the people can't figure it out, sometimes I get abused by those people too. Similar situation, but you're really taking abuse way more than I have. I have to tell you. I tell you, girl, you are getting abused over there. I'm laughing, but you
gotta laugh.
Disturbing, right? You have to laugh. But it's disturbing, and it hurts my heart. And I feel very connected to you because I feel like your cause is my cause. Those people in Britain, and I've heard from some people, especially on Twitter. I had a little friend who was contacting me. He was very concerned about protecting the women in his household. He had his mother, his daughter, and his grandmother in a house in London. They were Black. He felt very concerned about the Muslims who lived there, that he felt like they were going to hurt his daughter, his mother, or his grandmother. And he didn't know how to protect them. He said, all I have is a bat. So, I mean, I take that, like, seriously. If you ask me what should I do? I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even know, because, Americans in Britain now, we're a little different. We're a little bit different, but I feel this for you. I mean, I really, when I'm watching your stuff, my heart is leaping out of my chest. I want to help you. I want to fight with you. I want to be with you, but you're way over there on the other side of that big pond.
I know. Well, listen, I know it's what's interesting when you say about wanting. That was my goal as well, of just wanting to scream out on the rooftops and rafters to warn people of what is happening, what is here now. As everybody says about what will happen, what may happen, it's actually happening. I'm living the future. It's sort of concentrated because I'm actually throwing myself in the line of fire to sort of bring the exposure, because there's a lot of people see what I do with the police, right? When I'm giving them a hard time,
right?
Because and it's the only reason why I do it is the provocation. I have been pushed, shoved, manhandled, neglected, just completely just trashed by the police. Not every single one. There's a couple of police who I have are just wonderful people. I'm saying a couple. There's obviously more than a couple, but two men who I hold dear to my heart. One's Wayne, he's a liaison officer in London. He's just fabulous. And another man who actually saved my life, which is Simon Tudor in Wales. So, who was a genuine, he actually risked his life. He could have easily died one night when he swam out to sea to bring me back. This was many, many years ago. Have I lost you? Are you still there, Kerry?
I'm still here. Sorry about that. I was going
sorry.
to look. No, that's okay. I was going to look for a picture while you were talking, so that was a little disruptive.
Okay.
There's a picture of you with your hand wrapped up where you're sitting in the ambulance, but while you were talking about being rescued at sea, I flashed to a picture of you sitting in the ambulance that day that you popped the balloon. And over here in the United States, we had been seeing a lot of that balloon. And it was upsetting to me too, because it is so just disgusting. It's so bizarre. And it's not at all civil, polite, or kind. and it's not just because I support President Trump. It's like I would have felt that way over anybody being ridiculed and mocked in this balloon. So anyway, you had been there that day. You stabbed that balloon. It deflated. You made your way through. While you are so brave. You know, like you said, you're sort of provocating. Okay, and so you're provoking people, but your hand is all wrapped up, and you're sitting there, and I'm just like thinking to myself, she's all alone in the world. I want to go and take care of her. And that video did go viral over here. It was all over the place and people were cheering you on. And I had this image of you, though, being all alone. Like while your things are going viral, who's there to give you the moral support? You obviously have a team or you have someone who helps you, because when you get arrested and your phone drops, somebody must go, and you don't have to tell me who it is if you don't want to, but somebody must go and help you to upload some of that footage.
It's the kill switch. I literally have a couple of guys who are I haven't seen either of them for almost a year now, but we communicate by phone and by social media, and they are my support for this, is in case, because of what's been going on and how when you get arrested, that's it, you're done. You know, you're off, you're cut off, and nowadays nobody will, the police won't let anybody know where you are. I mean, it's really sinister. They won't. I mean, I didn't even get my phone call on. I was just arrested last Friday.
And so now that's where I had gotten confused, because I was going to check up on you, and I must have found that video and not paid attention to the date on it, because I thought that was the most recent time that you were arrested. Now you've been arrested again this past Friday, because you were going to be on my Saturday show.
That's right. Yes.
That's what I was going to look for you, and I found that, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's what happened to her. That's where she disappeared.
I didn't mean, you know what I meant to do?
Okay.
That was when I used that clip, it was meant to, it was for that was my Have a Gay Day. I just won my appeal. I don't know.
I see.
I appealed that conviction, and that footage was my arrest, my horrendous arrest over nothing. And I've got a couple of things to, but it's just like a little story, you know. I sort of need to put them into little. Yes,
absolutely. Yeah, no, I should have checked it a little bit better. And I just
no. I was honestly, I was concerned. I thought that might, I thought that might happen, and that was not my intention. It was.
Yeah, that's okay. No, it's not right. No, it makes perfect sense. And so, but you were arrested.
But I was arrested because, just because, and this is where we are in the world of the Big Brother and the globalists and the you will comply, you will not speak out, otherwise we will silence you. And I have to be careful with what I say to you now, because
yes, please do. Let me know.
I'm on bail currently, and I'm not permitted to mention the person's name who had me arrested. And obviously I can't talk about the details of the case. Otherwise I will be.
I do know, by the way, but okay.
I will actually. Yeah, I think everybody does, but you know.
I understand. We can't. Right. So listeners,
nudge, wink, wink.
Right. So listeners, right here with Amy is very complex, but there's a lot going on that's really great here that we have to, if you take the time to take it apart, you are going to see a brilliant timeline and a brilliant picture. But right about here, we're going to have to be a little bit vague to protect her. She has been arrested on Friday, and she is out on bail currently.
And this is something that happened 6 months ago, right? So it wasn't anything that happened just recently that prompted this, you know, warrant for my arrest. I mean, it's just, it is so ridiculous. But this is what we're living through. Okay, with my Have a Gay Day, I myself have probably inadvertently captured exactly what is wrong with the Britain today in the sort of right speak, in the George Orwell thought police. I have actually inadvertently stepped right into it and confronted it, because I know my rights, which is, and I will stand up for them. You know, I think, Kerry, once you've been through some of the stuff I've been through in my life, and I think this is where people have underestimated me. You know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and the stuff, some of the things that I've not spoken about, I've been through, have given me a strength of spirit that it can't be broken. I mean, no matter what they do, where most people would say, oh, maybe not, yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, I don't blame people for not wanting to go through what I'm going through, but I feel that I have to. Now that once you've seen the future, once you've been red pilled, once you know what is going on, and you see that it's going to be bad if people don't wake the hell up, and not just wake up, but get up and get out and start demanding a change, because this has got to stop. We have to reverse what is going on. And I am doing it for the right. This is the difference, right? I'm doing it for the exact right reasons. I'm not doing it for myself. I'm not doing it for money. I'm not doing it for fame. There's nothing that
This
I'm
is where,
the
yeah, this
the
is
only
where I
thing.
totally feel like I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I
That's
feel
okay.
like I totally get you right now because, I go back to that thing about the duty to warn, the duty to warn, in the service of America, which is in your DNA, genetic, you're
Mm,
a genetic service person. Um,
yeah.
the duty to warn. You see something and you feel like you're going to be able to help liberate, educate, equip people who are headed for a world of disaster. And I believe you that you're not doing it for personal fame, for any kind of recognition. I don't know that anybody would go through what you've gone through for mere clicks. You couldn't possibly be making enough money to cover the
No.
the issues with the law that you have. So I completely believe you about that. It's unfortunate that people might throw those accusations at you, but again, it's like either they're afraid of what you're saying or they just can't tolerate what you're saying and they want to tear you down. So I've seen those,
Or they're on the other side. They're on
or they're
the
on
other
the other
side
side and
as
they
well.
want you to stop because they're going to benefit from you stopping.
But I
Um,
do see, it's definitely the sense of duty for genuinely for the upcoming generations, that they have no idea what's going on. And because of the world we live in, which is the fantasy world, and the parents just, everything's okay and everything's fine and yes to everything, the shock that they're going to get is going to be 1,000-fold, because when they are old enough, they're going to realize, no, they can't have this, no, they can't say that, no, they can't do this, no, they can't do that. So it's sort of it's almost like it's so shocking. It's so unbelievable what I am witnessing personally, and the fact that I have been able to capture the majority of it on film is pretty unusual, because most times things happen and you haven't got the camera on, and
exactly. Hmm.
and people have to take your word for it. And I can honestly say the only thing of the last couple of years that has been very significant that I didn't actually capture on film was having said "have a gay day" to this man in a car park. But what saved me in that was that when I was convicted of the stupid thing, which was it was just a complete kangaroo court. It really was. I mean, it was just an absolute farce. I was able to to get the magistrate to write it down, the decision, and to write down the quote, "have a gay day," which is what I was convicted of. Because let me tell you, that one episode has cost me dearly in the last year and a half, because as much as I've been doing my thing and saying my thing and being consistent in what I've been talking about,
Hmm.
unfortunately, the fear that people have of they thought I was homophobic. There's homophobic. Because I told somebody to have a gay day. There's been very malicious rumors that have gone around. I am just one person. Okay, I really am just a regular person. I have no groups. I've got no. I'm not the head of a party. I really am. It is really just me, myself, and my camera and my dog. You know what I mean? And but I'm treated as though I'm somebody bigger. And what has happened and so people don't know me. So with this "have a gay day" thing and the maliciousness of the left, I was, I was I was befriended by people who, uh, pretended to be on the same side, but in actual fact were on the other side and have been maliciously spreading rumors about me without my knowledge.
Of course, that's a
And
tactic that the Marxists, that's right, straight
absolutely,
out of the book of Rules
yeah,
for Radicals, right? We know
yeah,
that. And
Solinsky. And so, and
right.
I had people like Katie Hopkins had been in touch, Ezra Levant had been in touch, Robert Spencer. This is all last a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
They got in touch with me because some of the things that caught their attention, and they,
Mm-hmm.
thought,
Yeah, and those are national spokespeople for this issue. You're not
but
completely isolated.
no.
But
Yeah, I was, because they
uh-huh.
believed somebody got to them.
Oh,
This
I
is
see. Oh, I see.
and it, my contact was cut off
With
without
those people.
yeah, but
Based
not,
on these
yeah,
rumors that the left had started.
and they believed, which is very sad. It's very sad that people who purport to be are free speech advocates and justice and all that stuff, unfortunately they get caught up in the whole, better not associate with that because that
Yeah,
might look bad.
some people who are really into their media careers, as opposed to the people who are interested in saving Western civilization, a
Yeah.
duty to warn, service,
Mm,
those types of people. Often, the people who are into the media celebrity of it all will cut off the actual
yeah.
activists.
And
And
it's a shame because it's quite surprising. I was
right.
actually cut off from everybody. I can tell you now, I have been doing everything. Well,
Mhm.
you could tell you haven't heard much, because you haven't heard much because I only have a small platform, and the a couple of people referenced it to about the Have a Gay Day, but only for their own benefit. Didn't reach out to me at all. Didn't no nobody, not a single person with any kind of platform of any description has backed me in that battle that I was in, even though I had the evidence, I had the
That's very
paperwork.
disturbing and upsetting.
Yeah, it
And
is.
the people who are in your country who really understand what you're going through, if they have a platform and they're not bringing you onto the platform,
No.
that is disturbing to me, because that's all here at Patriot Soapbox. You're exactly the kind of person that we want to talk to, and we're the small guys. I'm not getting paid anything. This is all
No.
about the service to
Mm,
liberty around
yeah.
the world for me. I'm not making any money. I'm in the hole as well. So to those people who are trying to get clicks and who are trying to get on media, really, I mean, I'm not interested in talking to them myself, to be
But
honest with you.
it's
I'd rather
what's
talk to
sad.
you.
It honestly. Oh, thank you. But
I
it's
mean that.
sad.
No, I mean that too.
It's just sad. It's sad that they, the perception that people have of some of them. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been a couple of people but with very small, very
Mhm.
small
Well, let's see if
platforms.
we can get that changed. I'm going to help. I'm going to do what I can do to try to get that changed. And I hope that you will get a bigger platform than me. And when you do, I'm going to be happy for you. I'm going to be excited for you. I want you to get the recognition for what you're doing, not because I think that you need to have your ego stroked, but because I know that you've put your heart into this work, right? And you
Yeah.
want to see some progress, some change made, what's going on there. I know from following that freedom, the Europe of Free Nations, that this is not just going on where you are, it's going on around. And you all over there in Europe are probably about 20 years ahead of us. We are headed where you are now.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm
Definitely.
interested in it for that reason too, right? Right?
Yes. Yes. I mean, I think this is the thing is that uh, so many Americans just are thinking, it's not going to happen here, or it's not really happening here. But I can tell you, it is happening. What is going on here is happening in America much more than people even realize. But because the fake media, the lying media, fake stream media, lamestream media do not talk about it, you don't know what's going on. But I've seen stories of people being the mass prayer in New York, and the thing being the call to prayer, and
Mm-hmm.
the episodes of the cars that have this desire to run people over just randomly wherever they are.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, because of the whole, it's a whole gamut of things. It's the media, it's the police, it's the government,
Mm-hmm.
individually, that are working against the people. And obviously, with America, you've got President Trump, which is just, well, America. President Trump isn't just, he's not, he's a beacon for the whole world of people who appreciate what's going on. There's everybody worldwide are everybody wants to say, please come and run our country, please.
Right. Well, and
Help us.
President Trump is, and
But he
he's
is doing it. He's
backed
doing it.
by, a number
He
of people who are very active in promoting and his agenda. But in basically, I say saving Western civilization, which is what
yes,
connects our countries, Western civilization. Um,
and he's actually having an effect on the East as well, and the Middle East, and he's his with what he's doing. It is just so incredible, miraculous, and yeah, I mean, every time I think of him, I just pray to God that he just stays well and safe, because the forces of evil that are just so much bigger than I was so naive. I've been so naive. I really thought that I just didn't realize how far the tentacles of
Right. Something that a lot of us are finding out. I've been studying it for about 20 years,
mm,
and I knew about the media problems 20 years ago. And I homeschooled my children so that they wouldn't go into public education. I mean, and I did everything that I could do. That's because I was a community organizer and I worked for a Democratic congressman. And
what?
yeah, yeah. And I was a leftist until I met Andrew Breitbart. I was sort of already starting to have some questions and problems, and then I ended up making a connection with Andrew Breitbart, and I started realizing like this whole community organizing thing that I'm doing is very bizarre. And then I lived through the riots in Los Angeles, and I really started thinking there are some problems here with my ideology. This is not things are not adding up, and so I was sort of red pilled 20 years ago. And one thing that I see in you is a fresh enthusiasm, which is awesome, because that's how I felt like 20 years ago. Like, I'm going to go, through a wall to save Western civilization, or whatever it was that I was, trying to fight for at that point. Because I think that the people who are newly red pilled, as we're saying, are newly awoken to these tentacles, newly observe, like, oh, wow, those tentacles are dangerous. Those people have a fresh enthusiasm to go up against the most incredible evil that we are seeing,
And you
right?
know what?
That's
It's
what I see
well,
in you.
funnily enough, is that I first time I realized there was a real problem was when Clinton got elected. Despite,
Really?
oh yeah, that's when I knew there was a problem, because
Mhm.
the scandal that was swarming around him before he got elected, the stories were leaking out all over the place, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It didn't matter what was coming out. The media just kind of, and he was in, and I thought, hello. And then when he won again, it's like, okay,
And see, you
there's something
because you
wrong.
have that American education as well. So
Mm.
you have to, you're an interesting specimen. You have
Oh,
interesting, right? You're a fascinating character. So we were talking about that you had been arrested on Friday, that you're out on bail right now. Can you tell us what is the status? What do you think is going to happen here in the future for you? Where do you stand?
well, you know what? When I know this is going to sound really bizarre, but my phone line's been cut again this is the fourth time since the blimp pop, and I've been with the same provider for over a decade and never had one problem like this, let alone four in the space of since the 6th of June. And in fact, since the 3rd of August, it's been three times, and it's days at an end. So I don't have any internet now, and unfortunately, I mean, here's the thing, right? People say, well, they're they're watching and they're listening and all that. Unfortunately, I can say with absolute 100% certainty that yes, I am being monitored by the counterterrorism squad because of this case that I'm on in now, because I said something that did not please. Um, it has been it's been so shocking. Oh, it's really, we're in a state now where, yeah, I'm right now, I'm being everything that I'm, well, I say I have no, my internet is separate. I've got a separate connector. There's no, they can't, you know, they can't, they don't know where I'm coming from, if you like.
Mhm.
I've sourced stuff. I mean, this is how ridiculous, this is how, okay, I'm in
It's even
England.
hard to talk about. It's hard to make sense of, to even come up with a linear explanation of what's happening to you.
It's just, it's, yeah, it's like I'm just Amy, from Hove. So I've got a daughter. middle-aged, decrepit with all my operations. I really don't, it just doesn't compute with what I've been doing with how I'm being treated. And I can honestly say that right now, at this very moment in time, I have no phone line internet connection. It has been cut off since Friday when I was arrested, or when I got back, it wasn't working. And this is now the third time since the 3rd of August. So just a month, I've had 3 episodes of 5 days plus of no internet, and the excuse given each time is pathetic. It's just it's ridiculous. But now, since the paperwork, I was arrested. I'm due to go on trial on the 8th of November for this. I say you can look up what's going on. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I
We'll have
can't
to look it
actually
up,
risk.
right?
There's a couple of things
Yeah,
I
no,
can't
please
say.
don't. Please, yeah,
I will
protect yourself.
come and get me, which is just crazy because I didn't do anything. Anyway, so I have a hearing on the 19th, which is next. I'm not sure what day that is, but I have just
I
secured
think it's Thursday.
Thursday. Okay, the 19th in London.
Mm-hmm.
Today I just got confirmation from a solicitor that he will represent me, which is very tricky, obviously, to find. I've just am very grateful. When I say I'm not supported, by the way, Terry, this is by people with platforms. Everybody with just regular people who've been watching, following,
Mm-hmm.
incredible support. That's food, that's fuel for me to keep me going, to
Mm-hmm.
have the impetus and have the momentum and have the drive to continue regardless of what they're doing to me. And in
Right.
fact, I say the more they do, the more I want to fight, peacefully. Peacefully. I just want to. What is happening is that everything that's going on now is proving me correct in all of what I've been saying for the last year and a half. I have been talking about this, and of course, people haven't listened because it's just so sort of bizarre and as you said, conspiracy theory-ish, and wacko. "Oh, okay, yeah, sure, they're listening, they're watching. No, they're not. Who are you? They don't care about you." But sadly and disturbingly, if they're doing it to me, imagine how many other people they're shutting down. I mean, I did fight for my bail conditions on Saturday. I was held over. Oh, you won't believe what happened. Oh my God.
Yeah, and this was the day, Saturday, we had planned on you coming in because I wanted an update on a video that I saw, which I think was the event that we're talking about now. So it's out there. Before we go into that, though, can I just verify with you, are your the videos that you're talking about having taken, the periscopes and different footage from your phone, are those all stored on the basedamy.com? Where are those that people could find them?
YouTube for Based Amy, and
Okay.
basedamy.com.
Okay.
Yeah. I have to, obviously I can't, anything that's going on from Saturday to my trial, I cannot mention.
And then we can't talk about that. Okay.
I can't.
Mhm.
Me. Anybody else can do it.
Yeah,
That's not, I can't, I
what
have
we'll
not
do,
control over what other people do, but
what we'll
I,
do to separate you from that is when I end this meeting, I will go in and I will fill in the audience on what we're talking about. So I will make sure
yeah,
that they know that they can have it, but I'm not going to tie it together with this interview with you right
no,
now.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Because, where we are, okay, so basically in a nutshell, last year I told Zoe to have a gay day. I complained about the prayer at Speaker's Corner,
Mm-hmm.
and I was active with the Tommy situation, with his persecution, and other people's. I've been proactive in expressing my opinion about and trying to defend our basic rights of freedom, free speech, liberty, the human rights that are being trounced completely. That has been my goal to defend and stand up for and express and show how much has been lost or seemingly lost. People have accepted an awful lot of stuff that is we're on the road to tyranny. I mean, we really are just about there. And if we don't get Brexit without a deal, Brexit, no arrangement, Boris. We don't want any connection with the European Union in any tie that has any. We just want to. We want no deal, right? That's the only acceptable way, because anything else will mean that we haven't left, and it will mean tyranny. It will mean loss completely of any semblance of what democracy we have left, and it won't take long. I mean, we're on the brink. I mean, it is totally bizarre. So last year to this, I've been constantly trying to inform people about their rights. With 29J has been my thing, and 29JA is what got me. I won my appeal for the conviction that was just a complete
29JA.
29JA. Even though, here's the thing, right? I wasn't using that. When I told the guy to have a gay day, they couldn't even tell me how that was negative, right? Because it's not a negative phrase at all. But they've managed to twist it and imply that it was some kind of sinister statement. And so 29J
which is the protection of freedom of expression.
It's the free speech to mock, ridicule, judge, question, basically calling to say whatever you want about an ideology or somebody who follows an ideology. So it's to do with Islam. We have got the right on our books. It's the 29J of the Public Order Act, 1986. And
yep, right here. Okay. So this is important.
Very, very, it's crucial. And that's where, I got my, I created the Trump top legal, Amy's top legal trumps, just as a sort of play.
Cute. That Scott's coming out again. I see it. I hear it.
And hashtag 29J is on my, I've got one of my trump cards here.
Okay. I see. Right. All right.
Website. So awesome. That is hidden away. That 29J is, well, it's 29. It's not 4, 5, 3, 2. It's 29, and it's J. Now, I don't know if JA is there, because they've changed it slightly, but it's to do with JA is to do with the homosexuality, and so to do with when people who are preaching with the Bible, and they're saying what the Bible says about it. And the 29JA gives a person an absolute right to form an opinion, judgment, declare if they don't like it or not. But nobody knows about it because it's just been buried. It's been buried away. And what we have in place, which is what the police have been trained for, is this hate speech laws, and not allowed to criticize or say anything boo to a goose. And people get charged, myself included, with Section 4, which was causing this whole thing of harassment, alarm, distress, or this ridiculousness. And so I say, my appeal was with 29JA, because even though I wasn't mocking him, I wasn't ridiculing him, I wasn't being rude to him, I didn't say anything derogatory in any way, shape, or form, but 29JA gave me that right to do it. So if he takes have a gay day in a negative way, I'm protected under 29JA to tell him that. So there's no way that what I said should have been dealt with criminally in any way, shape, or form. And this is the dark side of where we are, is that there used to be civil matters and criminal matters. And what the powers that be have succeeded in doing has been to criminalize words.
That's brilliant. That's exactly right. That's brilliant. That's what we really need to get people to understand, that they've morphed the civil issues into criminal, so that they can.
Which is what's happened to me now.
Yeah, so they can have their way and they can make you be quiet.
That's what they've done. They strip searched me. Okay, on Friday. There was no need. I haven't done nothing. I've never in my life ever had anything for any reason. Never been arrested like that. And they did that to try and break me. They tried to, debase me, whatever. It was a forcible strip search, Carrie. And I was, I can't say.
I'm so sorry. This is just, it's hard to hear, but it's important to hear because, not just because we're headed in this direction and we need to be aware what to look out for. But just on a humanitarian basis,
I was in London, Charing Cross Station. 3 policewomen physically assaulted me to take my clothes off for nothing. Nothing. And I have had 15 operations. I've had 4 major back operations. I've had 3 hip replacements. I have a detached trochanter on my right leg, so weakness. I've got a broken ankle that I need to have an operation on. So, and I'm middle-aged, and I'm a woman, and they
oh
physically
my God.
assaulted me. And as it happened,
We'll
I
fill
paid.
in again. We'll fill in the audience over what this is all about and what you're saying is over
They
in
won't believe it. They won't believe, but it is
won't believe
actually
it. But we
exactly.
can't talk about it right now because we're not gonna put her in
No.
danger that way. But
I tell you what, I paid them back pretty rapidly because when they finished, they wanted me to go up to the first floor to the cell, and I refused. I refused to get up. I refused to move, and so 4 of them had to carry me up.
oh my God, you're so
Oh my
brave.
God!
Oh my God. Amy, what is motivating
They
this
had to.
passion of
They carried
yours?
me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What were you going to say? I interrupted you.
No, no, no. It's just I said. I just did. They had to carry it. It's probably, I'd say, the ramp. It was like a disabled ramp type thing. It was about 30 feet going up an incline, and then a little bend, and then another 30
My
feet that they
gosh.
had to carry me. 4 of them, and they're like, I said, are you gonna go? I said, I'm not walking myself into a cell. Thank you very. If you want me to sell you, put me there. You're taking my freedom away. You could, jog on. So, so for them,
You're amazing. Okay. What what is fueling this passion of yours when you're going through a situation like that? Because I'm thinking I would cry. I really would. And I'm kind of tough too, but I don't like to be violated that way. And I think that I would either be so mad I'd want to hit someone, which you can't do because you don't want to get into more trouble, or I think I would break and start crying. So
Oh yeah, no. Well, but for me, I don't
what's
know.
going on?
Honestly, I don't know what. All for me, it's fighting. I have the passion to fight, and I will. I don't suffer bullies. I don't suffer fools. I don't suffer a lot of people gladly. Uh, I have been subjected to all of that kind of stuff in the past when I was at my worst, most vulnerable, and um, now I have, rather than it's the opposite. It's like what doesn't kill me makes me stronger, and what they think is going to break me will make me. I will make sure that they don't win. I see. Here's the thing.
Incredible.
I was an athlete when I was younger. I was and again, when you come from Italian, Scottish, Irish blood, and I'm one of 5 kids. I'm the youngest. I don't like to lose. I never like to lose.
I
And so,
understand that. I understand that.
I was yeah, it is.
But
It's an
okay,
unhealthy.
so you're a dual citizen. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking like if this thing doesn't go well over there with the courts, because I'm a romantic. I always like the happy ending. If that thing doesn't go well over there with the courts, can't you just come back over here? Could, Red Rover, send Amy over, come on, come back on over here. And I don't know if those thoughts go through your mind at all ever.
Well, here's the thing is I suppose that would be my I don't know, my get out, I suppose. But the thing is that if I feel like I have, it's almost ridiculous. It's almost like I now feel I would not want to run away. I would not want them to think that they won. And
Okay.
to me, uh, it's it is it, it is we're in a surreal situation where I know that if I said something to my neighbor about what's going on, they would be ready with the straitjacket. They'd be calling something. She thinks she's being watched and listened to. Mm-mm. And when I see kids and I think, oh my God, they have no idea what's going on. They have no idea. But oh yeah, and by the way, Carrie, there's kids. Well, what's happened to me recently. There's a father, a guy called Jamie, who's got 4 children. He's got 2 sets of twins under the age of 10, and they accompany him. He's been participating in marches. I mean, originally it was sort of the yellow vest, but unfortunately that's sort of gone by the by. It was a little bit purloined by people. So, but when I thought it was a Brexit thing, when I did the bridge protest and stuff, um, Jamie was there, and he had his 4 kids, and oh my God, these kids are just so amazing. And they now have a YouTube channel, which is Patriotic Twins UK, and they film what's going on. And just the last few weeks, right, because of everything's going on and the way these sort of demonstrations don't really seem to go so well. They're not it's really going one way, which is the police clamping down. The authoritarianism and violence from the police is very predictable. I decided to try and take a new tack, which was there's a place opposite the House of Parliament, and it's called College Green, which is usually an open area that doesn't have any fencing up or anything. It's just an open piece of land between the Parliament and some of the buildings across the road. And what happens is the media take over that parcel of land to do their pieces to camera, to do their fake stream propaganda stuff. And I decided before the media take it over, I wanted to have tea and biscuits in the park, and have patriots come and we do a few speeches and have a sort of civilized gathering, and have no chanting, no drinking alcohol, and just a sort of civilized protest, if you like, or gathering, let's put it that way, rather than a protest. And so just a few weeks ago, it was actually 3 weeks ago, I suppose, was the first one, and it was great. Yeah, it was really, really very small, obviously, because I don't have I don't have the reach. I don't have the reach of the platform that other people have, but I'm sort of hoping it would be the start of something where there's a lot of people who don't want to go to these big marches and big things because of it can get quite rowdy, and it can get quite sort of dangerous. And that was it. The last one that was Brexit Tommy thing. It was cancelled because it was said that the Antifa were going to come, and the organisers were told that it was going to be a problem, and they said that women and children and disabled people should stay away. And so I thought, well, wait a minute, I'll do something, because they cancelled. So I thought, well, people are going to go there anyway. It was the 3rd of August, in fact. That's what it was, I believe. Well, the 24th. Sorry, 24th of August. God, I'm trying to remember now.
Okay, I'm on their website, the Patriotic Twins.
Oh yeah, they're adorable.
Would it be honestly there, what you're talking about?
The one, some of it. Well, in fact, the last one. I just, in fact, uploaded the video about what happened to them just last Saturday when I wasn't able to be there.
Okay, because I think that's you right there, isn't it?
That's me. I think that was when I got arrested that day. Well, they arrested me from the park because I was challenging a fake stream media, and I was doing it, just politely. Mm-hmm. But of course, they get triggered and they think that they own them.
Fear-based Amy violently arrested and dragged out of the park. That is horrible, what we're going to go and watch at some point after this. I'm going to get right out of that. Okay.
And they released me once they got me out of the park. I mean, I was screaming at them and telling them, that they were using their power, that they had no authority to do what they were doing. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, so we had our little event, which was, the first one was the week before that. And then, of course, the whole Brexit thing, the whole...
Oh, okay. I see.
Sabotage and the whole prorogation thing stuff coming up, and everybody getting in their niggers in a twist. Of course, not this Saturday, but the one before that, which was... I don't know if that was a Saturday, but anyway, we were sort of told we couldn't do it, and yada, yada, yada. So then, last Saturday... I said last week, because I was wanted. I mean, I had been invited for an interview, okay, by the police 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Just randomly, this notification came through, or a letter came through to invite me for an interview about something that happened 6 months ago. And I thought, So it was for the Monday, and I let him know that I couldn't make it, or no real big explanation, but as it happened, this detective got a bit mad, and instantly, from an invitation for an interview, it turned into the fact that I was now wanted, and I was on the national computer database for being wanted, and I was going to be arrested on sight. And so the police come to my door every morning to, I wasn't necessarily here, but I was told that they were banging on my window and, trying to arrest me. And so, in anticipation of that, I said to everybody and the twins, I said, just go ahead anyway. On Saturday, we're going to have we call it the Battle for College Green, because what I dreamed of doing was taking back that space from the media, because same thing similar with the
I
balloon.
love it. I love it. Yeah.
I objected to the fact that these propagandists were utilizing this open space across from the House of Parliament, using the House of Parliament as a backdrop to spread their lies and spew out the rubbish about Brexit. And so, in my mind, and with Jamie and Dan, who's the guy who you'll see in some of the clips, he wears the Brexit Now. It's a placard on his back, a wooden cutout of the British Isles, and it says Brexit Now on it. His name's Dan, and he created the banner that says Brexit Now on it in the blue and white. He did homemade himself. I mean, the guy is just amazing. And we have William. I mean, it's sort of a hodgepodge of eccentric people.
So you do have some people, yes.
William and Dan, and Derek, which is the Derek who wears the Union Jack suit, Union flag outfit. He's seen in a lot of his pictures taken an awful lot because of what he wears. And so there's like a small group of people who are just in principle trying to take back that patch and drive away. I wanted to drive away the media from that area and just make them have to go into a studio, because it was just irksome for me, principally, that they were doing that. So the Battle for College Green was on, and you can see the story that it is actually a public park. It's an open space normally, but when on these occasions the media purloin it, they close it off to the public, not for any reason other than they want to have their little safe space and spew out the propaganda. So we had the Battle for College Green, but unfortunately, because I was arrested and now I'm banned from that area, I managed to shrink. On the Saturday when I spoke to the judge, I did negotiate the area because they wanted to ban me from a larger area of London.
Okay, that makes sense with the video that I'm gonna attach to this, right? Okay, so now I see. So now you're gonna have a court hearing, and is there anybody who's going to be able to communicate with us so that we can follow you and find out what's going on if you're not able?
Yeah, Basker Patriot News. Basker Patriot News, his YouTube. He's a really good. He actually filmed me getting arrested outside.
Patriot.
I went to Basker, Buska.
Buska. Oh, okay.
Basker, and then Patriot News.
Okay, and then here we go. He will be the one to watch.
He'll be filming. Because he's going to come on the 19th. He will film that. He's the.
Okay.
He's great. He filmed me getting arrested actually on Friday. I went to the Churchill statue across from the House of Parliament to let the police know I was there, because I knew if I didn't turn myself in as such, I refused to go into a police station because I've done nothing wrong. So I was not going to walk myself in, even though I was told to turn myself in, which is just outrageous of the whole thing that we're talking about. And so rather than turn myself into a police station, I went outside, the House of Parliament, and stood with the Churchill statue, which is iconic and says a lot for our freedoms, and told them I was there. So they arrested me there. And,
oh my gosh, you're amazing. You're great at branding and messaging and PR.
And I wore something that had a message on the back. It's sort of.
Are there any photos of that anywhere? I need a photo of that.
Well, you could get it off. I can't show you. I can't tell you.
Okay, when
it has the person's name on it, so I can't say. What,
if you could send it to me in Twitter anyway, or if not, that's okay too. But that is brilliant. I mean, I'm kind of laughing and jovial, but this is also.
You have to laugh. I mean, it's crazy. It's so mad. You have to laugh.
What are the consequences though that you're facing is what I really want to hear about. Like, how much do I have to worry about you here? So you're going to have this trial, you're going to have a hearing and then a trial on the 19th of November. So still a ways
No, no,
out.
8th of November. 8th of November.
8th of
The 19th,
November.
sorry, the 19th of September is a hearing because I want
Hearing
to,
next week. Okay.
because what was the bail conditions I thought were just ridiculous. So another one that's just
Over your
it's
bail, and then a hearing, and you may or may not
and
be
then
able
a
to
trial.
communicate. We'll be looking for Steve, but what are, or will they even invent things, but what are the
Right.
legal consequences, if you can tell us anything without getting yourself into trouble? I mean, are you looking at fines? Are you looking at jail time? Um,
Well, I don't actually know exactly. It would probably if I was found guilty, of course. I mean, I'm going to defend myself.
right.
Here's the problem: is that the reason why I'm in this position is because the same person took this other two people to court, even though they didn't do anything wrong either, and that
Mm,
what happened to them. And in fact, the story's on my it is on my basedamy.com website
okay.
under I think it's the sort of I'm trying to think of what it is, but it's the first story. It's quite a long heading, I think. No, it's not. It's
Okay.
not featured. It's the first one of the thing. It says about what happened, and it's got the videos in there. It's got the whole story.
Oh,
And
that's what I showed the other day, I think.
because of
Okay.
what the men did by not defending themselves, they took a
Mm-hmm.
plea because they were too afraid of going to prison.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm where I am now, and that's why I did a video uh, at the end of July, furious because I knew the consequences of them um, pleading guilty to something that they took a plea deal because they were too afraid of. They were threatened with imprisonment if they were found guilty,
Mm-hmm.
and quite frankly, it was just ridiculous. And I lost my temper with. I did a live stream because what's happened is the free speech is dead. Free speech has been. It could be dead. I mean, a lot of people think it is, but it's not. It really isn't. But we need to stand up for it. We need to defend it. And the thing is that if my argument with this is that if it's fantastic that people are going to fight, stand up for things, but if they're not prepared to do the ultimate, which is to go to prison, then they're not much use because
Wow. And
you know
and here's the thing I can tell you as a community organizer, we have all these Antifa and we have all of these social justice warriors, people who are going to school to get degrees in social justice warriorship, right?
yeah,
And basically, they are just part of the cog of the huge machine that is actually trying to stomp out the real social justice warriors, because that's the tenet of being a social justice warrior is you're ready
yeah,
to go to prison for your beliefs. Your beliefs happen to be equality for all people and humanity and Western
true democracy.
civilization. Good
Yeah,
things, but not communism, which is what the people who get the degrees in social justice warriorship
mm-hmm.
are really being taught. So it's it's an interesting time. It's an interesting story. I
And the
want to
thing is,
follow what you're doing. I'm sorry.
you're saying, you say about with in America, but I saw a clip the other day where a guy they had the table set up. I think it was Talking Point, and at a university campus,
Mhm.
and they were told to leave because they hadn't arranged for the spot in the area, and it was not they weren't entitled to do it. I mean, this it is prevalent in America. This whole same it's the same battle
Oh,
because of
sure. We're not to the point where you are, because again, you're 20 years ahead of us, 10 years
well,
ahead.
I think it's less actually because I've seen the police
Five.
behave.
Ooh.
I've seen the police behave there
We're cutting
exactly
it
as
short. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, there's some slight differences, but
yeah.
I don't want to take anything away from what you're facing. And so you could be imprisoned if you were found guilty. And we're going
I,
to hope that you're not, and we're going to try to support you and, get the word out over here.
thank you.
Um,
I do need the word to
oh,
get out
absolutely.
because
Right. And also we need the light, we need the sunlight and some disinfectant shown on this story. So what you're doing right now is actually in a way, dangerous. What I'm doing is a little bit dangerous. I've already had my phone lines. Have been monitored because I had a conversation with a couple of guys over there after I had been on Global Patriot Radio talking with some guys from the English Defense League. I'd been on a radio program on and off for a few months talking about Brexit and liberty and Trump and all kinds of things. And one day I was talking on the phone and I heard someone with a British accent break into my line and say, I'm not a British subject. I don't even know something, something, something. And I went to the person who I was talking to. Did you hear that? And my phone lines. Yeah, I had been writing articles about Tommy Robinson at Speaker's Corner. That's why I sort of could follow, a little bit about what was going on. And I spoke with a congressman who said, yeah, your phone lines were tapped in because you probably got swept up in something with the Brits and this and went down a rabbit hole with me. And I just went, I'm an American citizen. You're not allowed to like break into my phone line. I'm a journalist. We do have, it is uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable, but not what you're facing, Amy, not what you're facing. So again, I want to bring it back to you and what you're doing. And what do you think is the worst possible consequence that could happen to you if you were found guilty? What are we looking at here?
Well, I would think, it depends on if say they are persuasive and manage to, BS their way into a conviction, then, I could potentially be 6 months in prison. But if I got 6 months, then it gets cut to 3 months. I mean, trust me, I don't want to go to prison, but if I have to, I will. Because
we'll be talking about it and shining a light on it as much as we can. I want everyone in the Soapbox chat and everyone listening to make sure you go to basedamy.com, BASED, Amy, AMY.com. Go and find, there's a support button there if you can, if you're able, but also just, general moral support. If you can find her tweets, and I'm going to put up her Twitter, let's get you over there. Make sure that you go and tweet her, give her moral support, let people know, like we're watching this story. Now, I don't know, we're Americans. We have a different system. We're not constituents of anybody over there. Does anybody care if Americans are watching? A little bit, because it has to do with tourism. A little bit because it has to do with reputations and things like that, right? Having Americans be aware of your story. Does it matter at all?
Well, yeah, I think the whole point of this, the way they're trying to do things, is to shut people up, shut people down, and not let the word get out that this is really happening. And the fact that it is happening to me, and it's such everything is so minor. It's just the severity with which I'm being treated is just crazy. But our government has been dimmied by the, I say bacon bits. So that was my code word when I was at Speaker's Corner, because I was talking on my live stream and I wanted to try and say something other than Muslims, and I thought bacon bits, and so it wouldn't just attract attention, but it's a joke. And it was my code word. I had to go with the code words, and unfortunately, we are in the situation where they have control. They have got. I think it's the fifth column, is it? When they've entered and they've taken over the way we speak, the way we govern, the laws. They've created the blasphemy laws, which is the hate speech laws, which they've managed to get in. And of course, the European Union is completely the whole connection with Merkel and the Germans and the Nazis and the whole that whole history of the connection between the Middle East and the Germans. And it's the whole thing is so fascinating. I think we're living history. History is repeating itself, but in a different way as far as what is actually happening. But as far as the tyranny coming in, it doesn't happen overnight. I'm witnessing the onset of tyranny in my lifetime, and it's speeded up and no end in the last few, since the Arab Spring, really, which I call the Arab Winter, quite frankly. But
we have a lot. We could talk about that. Wow, so much. So
just pray for me, and if I do get put inside, please write to me.
We were going to
Right.
write to you. We'll find out where you are. We're going to follow whoever is talking about your case and make sure that we keep abreast of what is happening to you. So, and I want to
I'll,
let
I'll,
people
and
know.
I'll link you to Luke. Luke is my he. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Gary.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah,
He
Luke.
There's Luke. I can't tell you another person's name because he's very, very, very private. So he's just a friend who's, you know,
Right.
good
So
friend.
keep in contact with me and let me know where, what your situation is.
I have the old kill switch, which I don't use. I probably should use another word than kill switch.
Yes, please.
Oh,
We just don't want it. We
oh,
don't want any trouble
a
over
bacon switch. Let's go with that. You know, really.
Make
Like,
it so much.
bacon
I
switch.
mean, and I'm glad that you can keep a sense of humor. You're a brave warrior. You're definitely a rebel legend. You're making an impact, whether you know it or not. And hopefully, if people could share this interview, again, retweet her. She's at Based Amy Speaker's Corner, and she's got that 29J. You will find her. You can help get the word out. Let people know with the big platforms over there, like, excuse me, but you have a little warrior over here, and giving her some support would be really good.
I'm also on Telegram and Discord. I've got Based Amy is pretty much,
Based
on
Amy.
different things. I'm not fantastic at keeping things up to date just because there's been a lot of stuff going on, and
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, just a bit. I don't have a secretary. I don't have anybody doing anything. So it's me doing everything with the videos and all the rest of it. So, I am, of an age where things aren't working quite so well. But luckily my brain is intact and my passion is there, and I'm going to keep up the fight as long as I can. But yeah, I just need as much support as people can give, and the fact that the messages that I get are just worth so much to me when I hear the people just thanking me, and if somebody says they learned something which they didn't realize, or that's my aim.
Yeah, you have a lot to teach.
So
you're friends with the Rebel Legend show on Patriots Soapbox. That means you can come back anytime. Tell us about what's going on. I really want to follow this. I really want to know what's happening with you. I'm very concerned for the people of Britain. I say make Britain great again. Make Britain great again. Not just because I know, like, I haven't even gotten a chance to go hang out in Britain, and I'd like to see some of the old school British stuff. I don't want it to be like everything else. I love Italy for being Italy. I love France for being France. I'm a little bit tiny bit French. I want Britain to be Britain. I want America to be America, and I want to be able to go travel around and explore these amazing places. And I'm kind of scared, to tell you the truth, to go to Britain. I don't want to go to London. And that's kind of sad. So I want to see Britain be great again. And I also want to know that, our brothers and sisters over there are safe and happy and proud of their own country. I don't have a problem if they want to get into a little thing with me about what kind of beer is better. I don't, it's fun. It's all good stuff. Come on. We can love our own countries and appreciate other people's countries and let them love their own countries. Would the world be a better place if we could do that and know
Amen.
people have their liberty? That's what we all really want. So, Amy, is there anything that I left out? Anything that you want to add? I see it's getting dark there.
I know it is. I know.
You're sitting in the dark, but it's a very cool, dramatic photo. Did we leave anything out?
No, I think I just wanted it to be known that I will continue the fight. I will do what I need to do, and they won't. They honestly won't silence me unless it's physical. There's only one way to do it.
Yeah, we got your back, Amy. We got your back, but I mean, not that you need it or anything, because you are a warrior. And thanks so much for letting me record this. We're going to play it on Sunday. We'll maybe play it again a couple of times, and then we're going to have some updates after that. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Carrie. Thank you.
Big hugs. Amy out. We love you. Take care.
Cheers.
Goodness.